This episode of Trojan TV is sponsored by Susan Rouser State Farm Insurance, helping life go right. Treyland Auto Glass, Northern Michigan's auto glass professionals. Cool Doors, dedicated to creating custom-led inserts for the home. Whitewater Contracting, the siding specialists. Tandem Wealth Management, moving forward together. And Goodwill Northern Michigan, supporting families and youth experiencing homelessness and food insecurity.
Hey Trojans, welcome back to another episode of Trojan TV. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Cam. Ethan, we are just 1 week away from spring break already. Can you believe how fast this year is going?
Wow, that's right. Just 4 more days of school next week and we're sleeping in.
I'm counting the days. So mark your calendars, Trojans, because spring break starts Thursday after school and we return on Tuesday, April 6th.
And given the short week, we won't have a Trojan TV. But we have a great show packed with exciting news and features for today.
In district news, we take a look at the TCAPS Honors Program and Social Equity Task Force. And to celebrate the Irish this week, we have a special St. Patrick's Day, Things You Might Not Know About Your Teacher, starring our very own Mr. Deneen.
Also, this month is always very exciting by having March Madness basketball. Let's get some details on the NCAA tournament from Jordy with this week's Trojan TV Sports Update.
Hey everyone, I'm back with another sports report on one of my favorite topics, March Madness. Though this year's tournament looks a bit different with the whole tournament being held in Indiana and most of the games coming from Indianapolis, this will still be one for the ages. Let's start off with Michigan State, who yesterday lost to UCLA in the first 4 and were eliminated. Major bummer for the Spartan fans. But Michigan, on the other hand, has an easier ride, and they received a number 1 seed and also play number 16 seed Mount St. Mary's or Texas Southern, who also play in the first 4. I think this year could have some major upsets like 5th seed Villanova losing to 12th seed Winthrop, and also some teams are expected to do as well as their seeding states, like number 1 seeds Gonzaga and Illinois hoping to go all the way. Though I hope Michigan can go through the field and win it all, I picked Gonzaga in my bracket. This will be an odd but great March Madness, and be sure to catch Michigan play on Saturday at 3 p.m. on CBS. Back to you, boys.
Thanks, Jordy. I'm so glad Michigan State beat Michigan to clinch their spot in the bracket.
Making a bracket sounds like a lot of fun. Another big part of March is choosing your courses for next year. It can be pretty tough with all of the different options TCAPS has to offer.
Yeah, and a big choice a lot of students really have to think about is whether or not to take honors. Emma and Taylor got to take a look at the self-select program and what you need to know to make the right choice.
Make sure everybody in your group is sharing out.
A few years ago, all EMS students had to reach a certain score on a test in order to take honors classes. Now, as we all know, students can choose to take honors without any preconditions. Due to this change, the number of honors students has massively increased, causing a number of problems, from stressed and failing students to changing the composition of the honors and other classes.
So one of the issues as more students are self-selecting honors classes is that it significantly changes the dynamic of the classes, and that's in both the general section and the honors section. Another issue is ensuring if it's a suitable fit for the student at that time, which allows for school success.
There have been some students that are perhaps in the courses that shouldn't be in the course. And it's not because they don't work hard, it's not because they're not smart, they're just not developmentally ready to move at that much faster pace, at least in mathematics.
To be successful in honors, students need to have certain skills and characteristics. That can be complicated when students or parents aren't realistic about the ability level that the student is currently at.
I think sometimes students, when they're misplaced, they lose confidence in themselves. They think, oh, I must not be a good math student. And they're wonderful. They're just not there in the moment. So there has been some misplacements, and part of that is just the self-select, and sometimes parents just think that they really want their child in the honors courses and not understanding what those effects can be if it is a misplacement later on down the road.
EMS currently has 33% of students self-selecting honors classes. That's an increase by 13% since the change occurred. The results of a Trojan TV survey showed that a whopping 40% of students take honors because their parents pressure them to do so. We talked with TCAP Superintendent Dr. Van Wagner to learn more about the district's plans on addressing the self-select honors policy.
I've always been a big proponent of student choice and students challenging themselves, and I like that. At the same point, I also don't want students to be put in a situation where they can't be successful because they're not prepared or ready. So I think, with that, we have to find a balance of student choice and finding a way to measure whether a student is truly ready and has the work ethic and the understanding of the rigor that it should take in a honors class to start preparing themselves for college and career readiness.
In the future, the TCAPS board hopes to find an efficient way of assigning honors classes.
For this year, there is a kind of a revamp of our honors program, and so our honors teachers are going to be working to make the program more rigorous than it has been before, focusing on more problem solving, more authentic connectability back to real life situations, more writing and more reading.
And then we'll work on the rest of the schedule. I just don't know if that spot is needed, so we're kind of on hold with that one. But you'll definitely get your new classes that you want.
Okay.
Okay?
Students considering honors classes can meet with counselors to determine if it's a good fit.
So it's important to assess where the individual is in terms of capability with the content and rigor, with students' interest, and then their willingness to put forth the effort.
This has been Emma and Taylor reporting for Trojan TV.
Thanks, ladies, for that update. The school district is not only reviewing honors programs, they are also listening to the community and a former TCAP student who issued a petition last summer to pressure district leaders to look at how they handle issues of race, gender, and other diversity topics.
That pressure created the Social Equity Task Force, a group of district staff and students committed to examining these tough topics and how to better address them for all. CJ and Thayer learn more about this group and their goals for the upcoming school year.
This year, in the wake of massive social justice protests, TCAPS decided they needed to respond, so the Social Equity Task Force was born. The task force is a board of 22 members that meets monthly to talk about how TCAPS can be more effective at combating racism, sexism, and other social issues.
The Social Equity Task Force is the Traverse City Area Public Schools' response to recent movements in society at large in the United States. And so TCAPS took a look at some of the things that have been happening around the Me Too movement, as well as Black Lives Matter, and it really brought to our attention that we should probably be taking a closer look at some of the things that we do here, some of our structures and processes and procedures, in order to make sure that we really are addressing the needs of all of our students.
Over the summer, Ashley Coe, a former TCAP student, started a petition to incorporate BIPOC history and anti-racism education into TCAP schools, and the Social Equity Task Force was born.
It's one of those things of proactive versus reactive. What we don't want to do is sit back and watch constant issues of inequality happen in our district. We could do something about and say, oh, right, we need to fix that. Of course, there are underlying instances that people experience every single day in our system that we are probably not aware of, accounts of micro-racism or bias or discrimination in how students' behaviors are perceived. Those are probably day-to-day experiences for many students. And so our work is to address that through not only education, but awareness.
So what is social equity, you might be thinking? In this case, it's simply not equality for all, but instead a commitment to making sure all students have access to what they need to be successful.
There might be somebody that needs more than someone else to access success, and so equity means giving them a fair game to play, giving them what they need to be successful. And some people need this or that or more or less, and so it's looking for those things.
We talked to West High School student Alexa Nugent to see how she's involved in the task force and how students can make a difference.
Being a part of it as a student definitely gives other members of it a different perspective on how we view it as students. So I definitely feel like it's important for me to be a part of it so that I can help lead others and how we can make a difference as a district and how we can help others.
One of the task force's biggest goals at the district level is addressing the curriculum and making changes to it to add sources or references that promote equity and removing ones that do not.
What's going to be happening is that we're going to be then focusing the work onto particular buildings, right? Taking a look at each building's student population and then what groups within that population can use additional support and additional opportunity around equity and access.
One of the things that we're going to look for is that student feedback where there might be lots of stories or things occurring that staff is not aware of because people know that it's not an acceptable thing to do, and so they're on purpose doing it when they're not going to be seen or heard.
You like to judge you based on your ethnicity, and I feel like that's a really big discriminating factor that plays along with it. A lot of students use a lot of racial terms to just do it for fun. And like they'll say it to their friends and not actually know what it means. And I see that a lot on a day-to-day basis. I just feel like if people actually knew what they were saying, then they wouldn't actually say it.
The task force continues to meet once a month, every single month.
There's students and staff. So basically, I feel like it's one step to learning how we can deal with our diversity in the district and how we can treat other people the same way that we wanted to be felt.
This has been CJ and Thayer reporting for Trojan TV.
Thanks, guys. It's great to know our district is committed to bettering their curriculum and policies around this important topic.
And that leads us to this national story that has blown up the internet and news this past week. Dr. Seuss.
Oh yeah, lots of people are feeling pretty upset about the news that the company decided to stop publishing some of their books.
Right, but behind all of those rhyming memes and outrage is a story worth understanding. So Zach and I interviewed our district library media specialist, Stephanie Light, to find out what the big deal is and what our district is doing with these controversial books.
In a year of many global changes, many companies have made redefined decisions. Some have rebranded themselves, and others have pulled products that don't live up to modern cultural expectations. One such company is the publisher behind Dr. Seuss's works, who have pulled 6 insensitive books from their publishing collection. These books are some that many won't recognize though, as it includes the likes of And I Think I Saw on Mulberry Street and If I Ran the Zoo. However, 25 of these controversial books are in our elementary school libraries, and that raises the important question, should these books be removed? We spoke with Stephanie Light, who leads the district's libraries, to learn more about future plans regarding these insensitive books.
You know, this is a discussion that's been going on a long time with Dr. Seuss's work, and so I guess the timing was a little surprising, but not really unexpected. Again, we'll be reevaluating the books and whether they have a purpose in the collection. And there's lots of options. The books may stay in the collection. They may move into a collection that's more for historical reference or for teaching, because the books can be used for showing examples of how things have changed in publishing and how there is a focus on having books that are more inclusive or diverse.
Over the past few weeks, the news and social media have been lining up with opinions on the move by the publisher. Some claim that the actions are cancel culture, and others are praising the move as overdue. Some of the insensitive quotes come from the book And I Think I Saw on Mulberry Street, where Seuss wrote, "A Chinese man who eats with sticks." Another questionable quote comes from If I Ran the Zoo, where Seuss wrote, "I'll hunt in the mountains of Zamamontant, with the helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant." Light says that the controversy has not hit her office in the way of complaints, but that the board and other committees will review the material to determine the appropriate place for the books.
No decisions about that have been made. The process is the same for any other book. If we look at a book and we decide that it no longer meets the needs of the patrons, the users, and if it doesn't meet the criteria in our board policy, and that's a pretty big policy. You know, there's a whole bunch of factors that go into those decisions, and so when we remove books from the collection, they are sometimes donated to other parts in the district that can use them for other things, and sometimes they're just recycled and removed.
The district board and social equity task force will be discussing the matter and determining how the books will be used in TCAP's libraries going forward. This has been Zachary and Cameron reporting for Trojan TV.
Hey, Ethan, I've got something for you. This is a mess, like a fish playing chess.
Oh, that's all you got? For a man so known, he must get his own throne.
You know, I think Dr. Seuss would be proud of our rhymes.
Well, yours could use some work, but I think mine was great.
I digress, but maybe we should just leave it to the professional Dr. Seuss.
Agreed. Now, it's time for an exciting Trojan TV feature called Things You Might Not Know About Your Teacher, and this one is sure to get you in the St. Patrick's Day spirit.
Let's check out Mr. Deneen and his love for playing the bagpipes.
Mr. Deneen conducts East bands, and most students hear one type of noise from his room, and that is... But today, there was a new one.
I got into bagpiping. I had always loved how bagpipes sounded. There's a story of my parents being with me at a parade in Mackinac City when I was really little, and a bagpipe band was in the parade, and they came by, and I broke away from my parents and was walking next to the bagpipe band down the street. So I guess I've always been attracted to how the pipes sound.
The coronavirus has affected concerts for top names like Drake or Billie Eilish, but it also affected smaller artists and bands such as Mr. Deneen's Grand Traverse Pipes and Drums.
The bagpipes seem very complicated, right? There's stuff sticking out all over the place. It's a very simple concept. There's a pipe that you blow into that fills up a bag, right, bagpipes, and the bag allows you to play 4 instruments at once. There's this instrument, which fingers kind of like a recorder. It has holes in it just like a recorder. And then there are the 3 pipes that stick over the shoulder called the drones, and they just hum along while I'm playing. So really, any musician would have a head start on learning to play the bagpipes, and I would encourage anybody here at East Middle School interested in learning to play the bagpipes, talk to me. It's a lot of fun, and it's so much different than everything else that I do in my life that it's a neat way to experience a whole nother culture and a whole nother musical genre than that to which we're accustomed.
This has been Jordy and Nate reporting for Trojan TV.
I cannot believe that someone in the school plays this extraordinary instrument.
Yeah, it's really cool. What can't he do? He's a man with many talents.
Indeed he is. And you know what? I think that was a perfect way to wrap up this week's episode.
I agree. You can find all of our videos on our YouTube channel, Trojan TV East, and be sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and follow our DMC staff on Instagram at EastDMC.
And don't forget to check out our extended news and feature coverage on our website, The Link, where this week's poll is about St. Patrick's Day.
Have a great weekend, Trojans. Bye.